In the silence before dawn, gravity flickers, oceans rise like silk curtains. Stars wobble in their orbits, and the fabric of reality itself begins to slip. If the constants of nature shifted while we slept, would the universe wake with us? Or without us? Asterisk, the world awakens to a silence thicker than sleep. In the first pale light of morning, something has changed. Shorelines glisten with water that refuses to fall back to sea level. Buildings tilt by fractions of degrees no architect ever calculated. And overhead, stars, normally steady points, tremble like insects caught in amber. We take for granted the invisible scaffolding of physics. Every breath, every falling grain of sand, every heartbeat of a star rests on constants we never touch or see. Yet here, at this dawn, their permanence dissolves like frost. Gravity slackens. The speed of light drags its feet. Even the ticking of our clocks begins to stagger. As though time itself is a living thing fighting against an unseen current. Imagine reaching for a glass of water and watching the liquid hover just above its rim. Not spilling, but swelling like a living lens. Imagine the colors of dawn becoming thicker, reds too deep to belong to Earth, blues sliding toward ultraviolet. Imagine your own voice slowed, drawn out as though your words are crossing an ocean of honey dot. We evolved under constants that never faltered. The fine structure constant, Planck's constant, the gravitational constant, each number a cosmic signature. Alter them, even slightly, and molecules deform. Stars burn at the wrong temperatures, and the chemistry of life begins to unravel. We are creatures not just of biology, but of calibration, our atoms tuned to a very narrow song. This is the paradox at the heart of our universe. We speak of its vastness, its violence, its indifference, yet it is exquisitely precise, like a cathedral built of mathematics rather than stone. The constants hold everything in place, quiet custodians of reality. But in this imagined dawn, their hands slip. And with one invisible adjustment, the cathedral starts to tilt imperceptibly at first. Then, catastrophic ally, we look around for an anchor. Mountains still rise, but their weight has shifted. Air still fills our lungs, but it feels denser, as though inhaling a memory rather than oxygen. Even our own bodies betray us, our cells exchanging signals at speeds no longer consistent with yesterday. On the horizon, the oceans lift, not in crashing waves, but in slow-motion bulges. Like the planet is breathing from its skin. Birds falter mid-flight, wings misalign to a gravity that no longer obeys their ancestral instincts. Animals tremble without knowing why, the Earth's heartbeat, the Schumann resonance. The constant hum of electromagnetic life shifts its pitch like a cosmic cello, detuning. We search for metaphors. But nothing in our history prepares us for constants that change. Earthquakes tear the ground yet leave our physics intact. Ice ages come and go but leave the equations untouched. Now, the equations themselves are melting. The ink of reality runs. The question presses in with terrifying intimacy. If the universe can change its rules overnight, then what are we? Do we live at the center of a grand simulation, its code rewritten while we sleep? Are we inside a cosmic phase transition, like water cooling into ice, the laws of one state replaced by another? Or is this simply the universe's true face, dynamic, unstable, and we are the anomaly, forever believing it was still? This is not science fiction. Physicists know the constants are measured, not ordained. They arise from properties of fields and particles we do not fully understand. The fine-tuning problem, the cosmological constant, the possibility of varying constants across cosmic time. All of these whisper that permanence may be an illusion. And if permanence is an illusion, then so is our place within it. Listen closely. Even now, our universe is expanding faster than our ancestors imagined. Dark energy swells the cosmic fabric. The constants we measure may already be drifting, microscopically, invisibly, across billions of light years. The change may be too slow for human lifetimes to feel, but in this dawn vision, that slow drift has accelerated, compressing 1 billion years of change into a single night. The consequences spiral outward. Chemical bonds loosen. DNA mutates without cause. Stars ignite differently, their light spectra shifting in colors no telescope is built to see. Black holes evaporate or swell at alien rates. The very shape of space-time ripples with new mathematics, and yet, amid the unraveling, there is a strange beauty. Water rising like silver veils, mountains hovering under their own reduced weight, auroras blooming at noon as geomagnetic fields fluctuate, time splitting into echoes, events repeating in faint afterimages before catching up to their altered reality. We stand barefoot on a planet whose heartbeat no longer matches our own. We feel the tilt of the cosmic floor, a vertigo not of height but of principle. Here, in this moment, we are stripped of all assumptions. What anchors reality? What remains when the rules we believed eternal shift like sand underfoot? The camera draws back Earth half-lit by a slanting sun, oceans bulged, continents trembling. Stars flicker in the sky like faulty pixels. No voice of gods or aliens explains the change. Only silence, as though the universe itself is holding its breath. This is the physics of our undoing, and perhaps also of our awakening. For only when the constants tremble do we see how fragile we truly are, and how astonishing it is that we existed at all in a universe balanced on a knife's edge of numbers. Fade to black. It begins not with thunder, but with a flicker. Not a disaster on the evening news. An email buried in a research inbox at 3:17 a.m. A physicist at a lonely observatory, high above a frozen valley, finds a discrepancy between two atomic clocks. A discrepancy so small, so absurd, it should vanish in the margin of error. Yet it doesn't. The clocks have always agreed. Across laboratories, airports, GPS satellites, atomic clocks hum like the universe's own pulse. Their agreement is the rhythm of civilization itself. Navigation, finance, telecommunications, all predicated on an unbroken beat. But now, without warning, the beat fractures. Dr. Alina Kessler, an experimental physicist who has spent her life believing in constants, replays her data again and again. It is not drift. It is not instrument failure. It is something deeper. Across the world, other scientists start whispering the same wordless dread. Clocks disagreeing across cities. Satellites veering off their perfect ellipses. As if the invisible grid of space-time itself has begun to ripple. For centuries, humanity's faith in physics has been unshakable. From Newton's falling apple to Einstein's bending light. Each discovery seemed to refine, not overturn, our grasp of universal order. But faith can become invisible. We forget it is faith at all until something cracks it. Mini-reveal. #1 strikes quietly. The GPS system, that invisible lattice guiding ships. Planes, your own phone's blue dot begins to fail in ways no software patch can fix. Satellites, once synchronized with microsecond precision, start reporting positions that drift like sleepwalkers. The speed of light, the ultimate speed limit, the cosmic yardstick, has shifted by a few parts per billion, imperceptible to the human eye. Catastrophic to the math. Engineers scramble, blaming solar storms, hackers, cosmic rays, anything but physics itself. But deep down, the physicists know, if light itself is slowing, then every assumption beneath modern life is built on sand. Meanwhile, in the particle collider buried under the Jura Mountains, mini-reveal number 2 detonates. Beams of protons collide, and the debris refuses to obey the old equations. Particle masses skew off expected values. Energy balances vanish into anomalies. It's as though the standard model, our proudest cathedral of theory, has been built for a universe that no longer exists. Some call it an instrumental glitch. Some call it sabotage. But late at night, the researchers stand under cold stars and feel the same sick vertigo Kessler felt with her clocks. Historical echoes reverberate. They recall how Einstein shattered Newton, how relativity made space and time a single pliant fabric. But this is more than another refinement. This is a rug pull at the base of reality. If Einstein once revealed that gravity bends light, this dawn reveals that the light itself no longer remembers its own speed. Institutions scramble. Conference calls span continents. Funding boards demand answers. Military agencies classify data they barely comprehend. The first leaks reach journalists who dismiss them as science fiction. But the anomalies mount. Orbital telescopes chart star positions and find constellations slightly off, like a puzzle picture warped by heat. Civil aviation systems log mysterious turbulence where none should exist. On the stock market, nanosecond trading breaks down, billions lost. Because time itself no longer ticks at a uniform rate across the planet. Dr. Kessler, exhausted, becomes the reluctant Cassandra of a new physics. Her paper, Preliminary Evidence for Variable Fundamental Constants, is rejected, then leaked, then viral. She sits in her lab, eyes red from sleepless nights, watching numbers cascade down her monitors like rain over glass. She feels the invisible shift not as an idea, but as a physical pressure. Like standing at the edge of an ocean trench where the laws of pressure no longer behave around the world. Other observers begin connecting dots. Telescopes in Chile and Hawaii compare quasar absorption lines and find the cosmic fingerprints blurred. Labs measuring the gravitational constant detect a drift too steady to ignore. Chemists note subtle changes in reaction rates once thought immutable. The public begins to sense something amiss at the edges of normal life. GPS maps jitter. Flights delay without explanation. Batteries behave unpredictably. But governments and agencies mask the anomalies with technical jargon, hoping to avoid panic. In private rooms, scientists argue like theologians. Some claim a cosmic phase transition, a new vacuum state sweeping across space. Others mutter about extra dimensions or the simulation hypothesis. A few whisper the darkest possibility that our region of the universe is falling out of sync with the rest. Like ice crystals spreading in water, yet amid denial and alarm, a kind of grim awe takes root. Because for the first time in human history, we are not merely discovering new laws, we are watching the old ones die. Dr. Kessler records. A voice memo on a night she cannot sleep. Physics is not just math. It is trust. We trusted the constants to be our ground. Now we are falling, and we don't know how deep the hole goes. The camera lingers on her face, lit only by monitor glow. Her reflection doubled in the darkened window. Beyond it, the stars she charted since childhood are sliding imperceptibly, like beads on an invisible string being drawn tight. Fade to a montage of newspaper headlines, tweets, encrypted messages. Fade to clock faces disagreeing, two particle tracks veering off course, to a globe whose invisible lattice are collapsing at the seams. No single announcement breaks the spell. No government briefing reaches the public. Instead, the truth spreads like frost on glass, silent, unstoppable. A first flicker before the fire, fade to black. The certainty breaks quietly. No explosions, no omens in the sky. Only numbers, slipping. Planck's constant, the tiny quantum that measures every jump of energy, is drifting, almost imperceptibly. The gravitational constant weakens as though the universe is exhaling after eons of holding its breath, and the speed of light, once untouchable, no longer stands still at 299,792 kilometers per second. At first, the changes live only on computer screens, in careful decimals and error bars. Then the world itself starts to echo the shift. Atoms stretch. Molecular bonds lose their perfect angles. A glass of water refracts light differently. The chemistry of air changes taste. Our DNA replicates with subtle mistakes because the quantum rules of electron orbitals no longer match the ancient pattern. To understand the scale. Picture the universe as a grand violin. Each constant is a string tuned to one pitch. A single string slackens and the harmony falters. Now, several loosen at once. The melody becomes unfamiliar, and yet we are still inside the song. Feeling the dissonance vibrate through our bones, physicists argue over what they are seeing. Some insist this is a phase transition in the vacuum, akin to ice melting into water, but on a cosmic scale. Others believe a vast bubble of altered physics is sweeping through our region of space, leaving changed laws in its wake. More speculative voices speak of simulations that we are witnessing a rewrite of code, parameters changed mid-run. No one can agree. The measuring tools themselves are built from the same constants, now shifting, making certainty impossible. Astronomers point their instruments at black holes and find their behavior transformed. Hawking radiation accelerates. Massive black holes lose mass decades faster than expected, their horizons flickering like mirages in the heat. Elsewhere, spacecraft mapping the cosmic microwave background detect a drift in the ancient afterglow, its temperature climbing, its signature frequencies slipping. As though the universe is repainting its own birth record, what was once fixed and ancient now appears in motion, alive. We had called the cosmic microwave background the ultimate still photograph of the young universe. Now it behaves like a video, frames changing before our eyes. The stakes grow intimate. Every process on Earth depends on constants defining chemistry and nuclear physics. The sun's fusion burns at a slightly different rate. Oxygen binds less predictably to blood. Neural impulses in our brains change speed. Life evolved under one set of numbers and is now being tested under another dot. Our world begins to show seams. Colors look off. Shadows linger a fraction too long. Radio static carries strange harmonics. Ocean tides form bulges that do not match lunar pull. Clouds stack into impossible lattice. Following new pathways of heat exchange. Conservation laws still seem to hold, but along altered curves. Energy flows differently. Particles decay into configurations never before recorded. New temporary particles flicker into being as if the vacuum itself is experimenting with prototypes. Researchers rush to define new constants, but before they can print the papers, the numbers slip again. A Nobel laureate at a press conference lowers his eyes to the microphone and says softly, "We once thought the laws of physics were written outside the universe. Now we see they are written inside, and we are living through the edit." Public response oscillates between fascination and panic. Markets collapse under the impossibility of planning. Religions claim prophecy fulfilled. Artists respond with music tuned to irrational frequencies, paintings of broken symmetries, films without linear time. Our species, addicted to order, is forced to look into a mirror where even the reflection wavers. And yet, amid the chaos, a new kind of awe emerges. We are seeing the universe naked, its scaffolding revealed, its backstage exposed. What we thought eternal turns out to be contingent, dynamic, alive. It is terrifying. It is magnificent. The camera sweeps across a black hole's flickering edge, hawking radiation glowing like embers. Cut to a satellite scanning the cosmic microwave background, its data streaming in impossible colors. Cut to a laboratory where a scientist stares at a petri dish as cells split. along altered geometries, we are not separate from this shift. Our atoms obey the same numbers that are being rewritten. We are part of the experiment, trapped inside a physics still becoming. The constants collapse, and with them collapses the illusion of permanence. The universe is remaking itself while we are still inside it. Like passengers on a ship whose hull is being rebuilt while it sails through an unknown sea. We do not know if the new form will carry us to a shore or sink us into silence. Silence returns, but it is a different silence. Not the stillness of night or the hush after a storm, but a silence built from altered time, longer seconds, thicker light. A quiet so heavy it bends thought itself. For billions of years, we were children of one universe. Our physics was our parent, steady and invisible, teaching us how to move, breathe, and dream. We built our civilizations on the assumption that gravity would not falter, that light would keep its pace, that the smallest constants of nature were the deepest promises in existence. Now those promises tremble. Identity itself becomes a question. If every cell in your body rests on a lattice of physical rules, and those rules shift, do you remain the same person? Does memory survive when time thickens, or does it smear like wet paint? Are we continuous beings or flickering frames in a film whose projector keeps changing speed? Cultures respond in ways as old as myth. Some retreat to ancient prophecies, finding comfort in cycles of creation and destruction. Others build new rituals, candles lit to Planck's constant, prayers whispered to the speed of light, as if devotion might anchor the numbers in place. Artists flood the altered world with color and sound, trying to capture the beauty of new physics before it shifts again. Yet beneath the fear is a strange, lucid awe. We see clearly for the first time that the universe is not a fixed cathedral but a living tide. Its laws are not commandments etched into stone, but currents able to flow and change. And in that flow, something of us also changes. We become witnesses to the cosmos remaking itself. A teacher in a dim classroom holds up a child's marble. The marble rolls across the table and veers, almost imperceptibly, toward a new center of gravity. The child gasps and laughs. For her, this is normal now. Gravity is a suggestion, not a rule. She grows up with a sky that looks a little different each year. For her, physics is alive, not an artifact. What does it mean to be human when the scaffolding of reality will not stay still? We learned adaptation in small ways to climate, to geography, to each other. Now we are asked to adapt to reality itself. Our ancestors told stories of gods who remade the world. We are living in a story where the world remakes itself. Perhaps this is not an ending, but a revelation. Maybe constants were never truly constant, but slow rivers whose drift we were too small to see. Maybe all civilizations live inside the heartbeat of changing physics, and only rarely in a flicker of cosmic time. Do the changes accelerate enough to be felt in observatories and labs now half abandoned? A few scientists stay at their posts, measuring, recording. Their notebooks filled with equations that will soon be obsolete. One writes a single sentence in the margin, even as constants die. Wonder survives. She places the notebook in a vacuum-sealed case, hoping someone, somewhere, in whatever form the future takes, will understand the handwriting. Night falls over Earth, but the stars no longer form their old maps. Orion's belt stretches, the Pleiades scatter like seeds in a wind. The constellations of our ancestors unravel before our eyes. We look up anyway, because looking up is what we have always done. The sky may change, but the impulse remains. And so we end where we began, alone with the universe, searching its vastness for permanence. But permanence was never the point. The point was to see, to question, to stand briefly inside the mystery and leave behind some record of our astonishment. Cut to the final image. A child's marble rolls again across the table. This time, the table subtly curves, its surface flexing under a different gravity. The marble drifts off the edge and disappears from sight. The child tilts her head, eyes full of quiet wonder. If the constants of nature shifted while we slept, would the universe wake with us or without us? The question lingers, like starlight from a dying sun across the changing sky.